Good afternoon, tie-dye family. I have my second 50-cent shirt here. This is one similar to the one that I dyed in a swirl for young Diego just last week in Silver Lining and Gunmetal Gray. This one is going to be done in golden, yellow, and black, similar to the way I tie-dyed his brother's Santiago shirt last week. So we will have mountain peaks basically on this shirt, since I'm folding on the diagonal. It's going to incorporate this diagonal line as my base. All my other diagonal lines are going to be worked into that. I draw these lines on to help me do a nice straight, even fold on the entire shirt. Next, I will turn the shirt where those folds face me. I like to start in the corner. I like to make all my folds about the same height. And in this case, I'm probably getting close to 3/4 of an inch. In fact, I think I'm going to measure that out, especially on this one to begin with. Let's just make those 1.5 inches. Makes it easier to find your hash marks, unless of course you're mathematically challenged, like some of my students. But some of my students are really good at math. Alright, so I've made a line every 1.5 inches. I'm going to do that up here too, so that as I incorporate the rest of the shirt, I still have the same height in my folds or pleats. If you have not seen this fold completed, the entire process is on a previous video from last week. First, of course, I washed the sizing out of the shirt. Then second, I soak the shirt in the soda ash. Then the shirt is spun out in the washing machine on the spin cycle. So I'm going to go through and make a fold with all layers at the point where I have my dot. That will help me as I go through folding these. So this shirt has been turned wrong side out. It has been turned where the sleeve is inside the sleeve, and I do that when I want symmetry or the same equal parts on both sides, or a mirror image. Good definition of symmetry. All right, here we go. Let's see, I want that one down and that one up. Okay. And then we're going to have that one up. So, when you've gone to the trouble of putting the lines on and the dots on, you then have a very accurate guide of where to make your folds, because you want those dots on the top of your line. Okay, so the last time I pleated this, I believe I made 1 inch spots between. Those folds were too little for this design. I did increase them this time to 1.5 inch hash marks. Make your lines as straight as possible as you make your folds or pleats. Draw the product towards you as you get further into the design. All right, notice now I'm looking at both points on my fold to make sure they are at the top, on the top of the fold. I did it in 2 places because this part's about to run out. This part will continue on. Now I only have the top dot to go by, so I have to be careful not to make my folds too big here and here. Because the sleeve is already black and I'm using black and golden yellow, I'm not even going to fold or attempt to dye the sleeve, because it's going to be part of the pattern by the design in which the sleeve was set into the shoulder of the shirt. And most people do call these baseball tees nowadays. I was visiting with my sister and we discussed the fact that when we were young, that type sleeve was called a raglan sleeve when we were sewing. That's where that term came from. I knew it had to have something to do with our past, because I remembered it from a long time ago. Alright, I'm going to get this rubber banded and move it to the dye table. Finding my smallest baby hair rubber bands for the smallest section of the shirt. I do have a shirt that I finished yesterday in the washing machine and one in the dryer. So I should have some reveals I know a lot of you could care less about how to do it, but like the reveals. So I thought I'd let you know a couple of them are coming out as soon as I can get them filmed and sent off to YouTube to put on. Takes them a while. My gear is not the best. But you work with what you have. I can't afford fancy gear. Notice I changed rubber bands. That's because my folds are a little thicker the further up the shirt I go, and I do not want my shirt to taco or fold in on itself. I have a bucket I keep my rubber bands in, and those rubber bands are used over and over and over and over and over and over again. I love rubber bands because they can be washed to get the dye off and then reused. Right, here we go onto the dye table. Alright, I'm back. I have moved my project to the dye table. I'm going to begin with golden yellow up next to the black. I want it to be the first color that you see. So if you look back at my video on the cat shirt, I tried to place the dye specifically where I wanted it also. Many people seem to like that, so I'm good with that. Golden yellow sure goes on orange looking. Notice as soon as I start putting dye on that my lines that I drew on with my erasable marker starts to run. I'm sure glad, because I don't want that to be in there permanently, and they do wash off, and I'm glad. Someone's at my door. Come back tomorrow and I'll show you the results. Thanks for watching.